Hello again everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, please do hit subscribe, and folks, as always, don't forget to press that little like button as well if you enjoyed today's video. Now, what you can see on the screens is not a flight recorder from an aeroplane, though it is suitably coloured with the packaging. Aviation related though, and flight simulation related. It is a Autopilot Control Panel created by a chap called Jeff, who runs Vizix. All the links will be in the description below as always, but let's get this unboxed and have a little look. And here it is. Straight out the wrap, quite a good size, and very light actually, it has to be said. The dials, which rotate, have got a really nice clickable feel to them, and they push in really nicely and click quite nicely too, similar to the buttons as well, which are also on the device. It comes with a USB cable at the back as well, which is supplied as part of the packaging, and a QR code on the back which you guys can see, which will take you straight to the manual. So here is the actual product page on the website. The links will be in the description down below if you do want to check it all out, and you can see there's an email address to get in touch with Jeff should you have any questions. In short, it's an autopilot controller for flight simulators. Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane 11 are compatible. Connects via USB, and they've also created a couple of compatible aircraft for MSFS users, including the flybywire A32NX and the Aerosoft CRJ, which is really cool. You can see the system requirements down the bottom of the screen. But the all-important price is about $190 plus shipping, it says here on the website, though that is of course subject to change. The order for me took about 2 weeks to get to the UK with really cheap standard sort of UPS shipping, but really good delivery times actually, far quicker than I expected. By clicking onto the Resources tab, you can find all your aircraft profiles, your autopilot configuration file if the autopilot isn't working, and a couple of other handy hints and tips and tricks should you need to troubleshoot. All importantly, the manual. So here's the manual, lots of information with this showing you how to get it all set up and working. So what I've done at the moment, I've plugged in the USB into the computer, and I've stuck it on top of my Turtle Beach Velocity 1 yoke with the included dual lock adhesive square strips. Okay, so we're in the sim. Whilst it was booting, you want to head to the MobiFlight website and download the MobiFlight connector like so, 9.3.2, the current version released 1st of April 22, but of course that might have been updated by the time you guys are watching this, whenever that might be in the future. To install MobiFlight, what I've done is I've gone into one of my folders on the D drive and created my own MobiFlight folder. Within that, I've then created a profiles folder with the 3 profiles I've downloaded from the Vizix website. But I've put the MobiFlight installer, which is here, into this MobiFlight folder container, and then I've run the installer basically, and it's installed all of this for me, including the plugins for it to work with Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I've then pinned it to the taskbar. So download aircraft profiles is next on the Vizix website. On the Vizix website, you want to scroll down and find aircraft profiles. And here you've got a couple of options. So I've installed the default, including the G1000, flybywire A32NX and the CRJ. And there's a little map next to each of them. When you click on it to expand, it will show you effectively what it'll all do. So nav, as an example, not present in Airbus but has the same functionality as pushing the heading knob to go into managed mode. And depending on the profile that you choose, it will tell you what works and what doesn't. And of course you could tweak them yourself as well. There is a GitHub repository to allow you to basically get other profiles. So if you've got the know-how, you can upload your own profile with MobiFlight to Vizix GitHub repository for the Autopilot controller. Very cool. And there's a few other bits on the website too, like the wiring diagrams, should you need to troubleshoot for any reason. Okay, so now open MobiFlight. We're going to be in the flybywire A32NX, so we need to go File, Open. We're going to find our MobiFlight folder and wherever you've installed your profiles or downloaded and dragged your profiles to. And for us, we want A32NX. And it says here the current config file contains module references that are not connected. You can assign the orphaned serials to ones that are present at the moment. And that's actually in here. First time you open a profile, you might see the following prompt. Just select the orphaned serial in the list, select the connected module in the drop down and click OK. Like so. Then save the changes to the profile so you don't see it again. So for that we'll just hit save. You can see here there's a lot of options. Autopilot modules, outputs, pin types. Once we've loaded in, we're going to hit the run button. And then we'll see how it works. So here we are. At the moment I've mounted the autopilot display onto the top of my Turtle Beach Velocity 1 yoke system, as you guys can see here, and complete IMC. What I've done at the moment is selected 065 degrees heading mode, and you can see that replicated on the aircraft there, 065. Now if I move the two dials to select 180, you can see it's moved the entire time, and it's linked up really nicely. Let's look at descending now. That's me changing the settings for the altitude via the aircraft. We can click altitude to go into open descent mode, and the aircraft begins to descend. Now if we want to change our vertical speed, we can select a vertical speed like so, and then we can just enable vertical speed mode, and that's now activated on the aeroplane as well. This is really good. It makes it a lot easier actually to try and deal with everything that's going on VATSIM all of the time. For speed intervention, all we need to do is select a speed that we want to target. So ATC on VATSIM tells us 215. You can push it and it will remain back on managed mode. Or if you do in fact want to select a speed like 215, then you can just go ahead and press the speed button, and you'll see now we've come out of managed speed mode and the aircraft begins to decelerate for us. You can click it, and what that will do is it will go to thousands, or you can click it again and it will allow you to make 100 foot increments. Though that is best to do when you're inside either vertical speed mode or in fact when you're actually level at your altitude in question. I've been playing around with this autopilot control panel now for the best part of about an hour, doing lots of heading increments between managed modes, selected modes. We're about to go into a ILS approach. We're going to try and configure an ILS approach into London Heathrow, runway 27 left. So we're going to go and see how that happens, how that works with the aircraft as well, in conjunction with the Vizix autopilot controller. We're going to be heading over London City Airport very shortly. and we're going down to our green dot of 180 knots. So all we've got to do now is arm approach mode. There it goes, it's active. And we can manually turn on autopilot 2 as well. We've got everything else configured on the aircraft for our approach. Now, depending on what aircraft you use inside the sim will depend on what level of functionality you will find that you get using the autopilot controller from Vizix. In the flybywire A32NX, it's remarkably easy to use, really actually quite intuitive, quite enjoyable, and relieves a little bit of that workload as well when it's quite busy on VATSIM. Other aircraft like the CRJ, of course, it doesn't have an auto throttle, therefore your speed bug might be able to be amended if you can set the profile for it to allow for custom speeds, but you'll have to manage the throttle yourself as with the aircraft already. Now, of course, you've got to love the functionality offered by Vizix with their autopilot controller. No doubt it will come in really handy for use on VATSIM events, really busy events, especially in the A32NX, but it's great to see that in the future they're hoping to establish profiles for various other aircraft inside the sim as well, like for example the Boeing 787. I found it to be very intuitive, very easy to use, and it's built really nicely as well. The buttons have got a nice positive feel to them. You can feel them click and rotate as you move them around, and the actual buttons themselves, or the autopilot, the approach and things, have got a nice click and a bit of feedback to them as well. But the actual knobs for the headings and things, really nice quality. Very easy to set up. The documentation from the website has allowed me to do it in about 20 minutes from actually taking it out of the packaging. And bizarrely, I actually quite liked the quirky orange packaging. It reminded me almost like a flight recorder. So yeah, very nice particular add-on for the sim. As you can see, we're already flying the ILS. We're doing that using the Vizix controller as well, just with a push of a button on approach, having actually put the ILS data into the MCDU. So there we have it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. All the links are in the description down below if you do want to go and investigate for yourself and check it out. I would highly recommend you do go and have a look for yourself, decide whether or not you would like it as an addition to your flight simulation hardware. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I will hope to see you very soon for future live streams. Thanks for watching. Take care.